Tower Fantasy is a very okay game. And I say that specifically because it is alright. In all facets of the gameplay, I find it's acceptable, but I don't feel it excels in anything. So I'm going to rip this bandage right off for everyone here. I don't think this game is really worth your time if it's going to compete with other games you like more. I don't think it's going to be the next big MMO, and I don't think you're going to miss out on a lot if you decide to pass on it for right now. Um, because I'm not sure that this game is going to last terribly long. There's already been some kind of questions about it. It's not that popular in China, so that's not so great considering that's its origin point. And they have tried to balance things a little better in the global release. Apparently, certain characters were nerfed quite hard. Other characters that were exceptionally strong haven't changed like that, which I guess is good for overall balance. But I would still say that there is still a pretty big disparity, even amongst the SSR characters, which are basically the characters you want, the good characters, the highest ranking ones. There's some that feel very powerful, and there's some that feel like they're not really that special. And that's not a good sign to begin with. This, coupled with a little bit of jank, numerous bugs, glitchy movement, ladders that don't work, and dialogue that goes off that doesn't always match what's being said, or lines that are repeated twice in a row. There are all these problems and more in the game. That said, it is fun. I mean, it's enjoyable to play. Who doesn't like a collectathon in the open world? Like, you run around, you find all these things, and
What a cool surprise!
you get supplies, you get free pulls as you explore the world, so that can feel very good for your first bit of playthrough through it. My concern is that once you finish exploring these zones, which doesn't take that long, I'm not the biggest completionist in the world, and I'm already at, most of my zones are 86%, 91%. I have an 87 that you can't see behind me, and then a 46 is one zone that I haven't really explored that much. Once that is all drained, my free pulls are going to start to vanish. I am not going to have as many options for them. There is ways to get more free pulls. For example, you carry out your daily tasks, and you can do the free battle pass, and you can get upgrades there. You can do the paid battle pass to get a little bit extra. You can get pulls from doing certain daily tasks. So I believe if you go to the daily bounties will reward you some pulls. You can see I've already completed these, but you can see here there's a gold one, there's some purple ones. Those are the free pulls. Those are different banners. Now notice that those are not the red pulls, which are the rare banner. That's the banner that seems to reward slightly stronger characters. They're SSRs, but they still seem a little better than your normal gold SSRs. Of course, even amongst the gold SSRs, some are better than others. So there are some issues with it. The world does seem fairly active. People are chatting, even though I'm not on a US server like I should be. I did a small brain move and went on the wrong region, but I already spent money, and there's enough English-speaking people here, so I can get by. Um, but I threw a little money at this just to see how it was, and because on most gachas, I kind of give myself a limit of spending 200 off the get-go when it's something new to see if I really like it. And I really like MMOs. So yeah, I was hoping to really enjoy this a lot more than I feel that I will. My problems aren't that the gameplay is terrible. It's not that the game is like really rough, but it's the idea of the longevity. Now, when you play an MMO, everyone has sort of a different qualification of what they want in it. Some people want really great group content. Some people want to be able to explore a vast world. Some people are interested in the combat aspect of it. And I feel like, well, it's very tepid waters here. Everything is okay, but it's only really okay. Like, there's things to collect. You can cook food for some, okay buffs. There's stuff you can break every day, like you can get rocks and stuff. I'm going to excuse any delay I have on this server because it's not, again, a US server. So I'm not sure if that's just on my end or not, but there's a little bit of lag. It seems when I get into ruins or I do like dungeons, basically, that lag kind of goes a little bit further away. So I'm going to assume it's not their bad, but who knows? That's hard to say. The world, as you can see, is pretty large, but even though it's only been about, a week and a half, I've already explored most of it. I've already unlocked a lot of the materials that are around. So I don't see all these free pulls continuing to be so generous. And I think a lot of people are getting tricked by that. They want to believe, oh, this game is going to be good. It's so much better than Genshin. It's so much better than any other gacha. It's so much better than any MMO. And what they're missing is that, of course, things feel really good right now. We're getting tons of free pulls. But those things are going to go away. These zones offer you tons and tons and tons of free pulls. That's where I got the majority of mine from. Once they go away, we're going to be relying on spending ourselves, which means a lot of upgrades that people are seeing right now that feel very common will not be. You'll be relying on doing those dailies every day for, really quickly, doing some bounties, which are basically just kill certain monsters in the area, and then you'll rely on events. Now, events, I have to say I was pretty underwhelmed by the summer event they just gave us. So the summer event they just gave us, let me go to see where I can show you that, is more of a, hey, go spend your money on it, which I spent some of the free resources I had on this because I wanted to get some of the things from it, but also just to see the chances of getting stuff. What happens is they have a limited amount of things you can pull inside, and so as you pull enough, you eventually get to the point where you're going to get the stuff you actually wanted, because you have no more chances to get the shoddy stuff that you wouldn't care about, all these purple items and blues. I didn't want those. I had to go through them until they sold out, and then I was able to get lucky enough to get the things I actually wanted. And this was the whole event. This event, the Summer Seabreeze one, is literally just a mini gacha game within your gacha game. So I don't have the highest of hopes. That's not really the best foot to put forward. Now, it is important to note they do have another event that is out right now, this event, which is just kill certain world bosses and you get some extra energy, which you can then buy some okay stuff with. There was like one red pull here, which is the limited banner SSR, which is the thing you probably really want, but you can't really get more of that than that. So it's kind of like, is that really the most exciting event? I wouldn't say so. So this game is going to end up being a pretty big drain on your money. Now, let's quickly look at why I think that's also true. Let's look at a character, for example. When you roll on the banners, you get weapons, and those weapons also come with a transmog you can apply to your character if you want to. You don't have to, which is nice. But I have quite a few SSRs. I've gotten pretty lucky. A few of these are rank 0, so I only have one weapon. The weapons can go up to, I believe, 6 stars. So they can get pretty powerful because all of those stars, which are dupes of the weapon, provide quite a bit of power. You also get an extra transmog if you get them to 3 stars. So for example, if this shield, if I had 3 of them, I would be able to change this girl's appearance to look like this, which is pretty cool. Some characters seem way better than others. For example, this character is the Red Banner character. She seems to do very well. The top players on lots of PvE things seem to be using her. She's got healing and damage mixed together and does really well. This character with 2 guns is also one I've seen doing just crazy amounts of damage in group content. I usually see her doing some crazy gun kata spin in the air, doing like AoE damage everywhere. And apparently there's some thing where you can stay in the air longer. I'm not so sure. I just kind of read about it briefly on Reddit. But she does seem a lot more powerful than some other of the SSRs. Now, to quickly show you why the power is so big, let's take a look at my best weapon here. I've got 5 stars on it, and each time I get it another rank of it, I unlock one of these little sections right here. For example, this one says, everywhere you see activated, that's a new skill. So activated increases your shatter by 15% and restore 10% of your HP after breaking an enemy shield. Shatter is just how well you break enemy shields. And these things can get pretty powerful. Like, for example, when I switch this weapon now, I get an ice shield that's equal to 10% of my max HP. At a later rank, when I have that shield up, it increases the damage and shatter I do by 50% while that shield is up. So these tend to give you synergies and more interesting mechanics for each weapon. And this is one of the weaker weapons in terms of the cool things you get from it. Some weapons are really dependent on getting some stars to be any good. For example, this staff, which is pretty popular right now, it's a healing staff. Its consistent heal is only activated after you get 1 star on it, which makes it so that when you dodge, you get this little healing bee. It looks like a bird that follows you around and will heal you. However, you also at rank 3 get a really powerful effect where whenever you use your healing or you use what's called a discharge skill to switch to this weapon, you will give everyone in your team, including yourself, increased shatter and damage dealt for 20%. So that's pretty massive, and that makes this weapon a lot more useful because not only is it healing, but it's also providing some tangible damage for your team, so you have a reason to bring it with you. So all these things together are creating sort of a scenario where you're seeing a lot of power being tied into having multiple roles. You also have what are kind of like artifacts in Genshin, these matrices. You can affix these to your weapon, and they give you like tier set bonuses if you played a lot of WoW. Purple ones, which are a little more common, only have a 3-piece bonus. Blue also have a 3-piece bonus. Now, if you look at this blue one, its 3-piece bonus is increased damage dealt by frost weapons by 6%. Pretty much not really that consequential. This purple one increases your attack by a certain percent when there's no enemies within 6 meters. You can also ascend to these pieces, so I could 2-star this and bring it up to 22.5%. You have to have dupes of the matrices themselves. Now, of course, there's SSR ones, which are far more powerful, and they have a 2-set and 4-set bonus. These things get insanely more powerful once you get multiple stars on them as well. And the easiest way to get this is going to be through money. Now, of course, you could rely on some degree of luck to get them from certain tasks in the game. So, for example, if I open up this page here, I look at the recommended, I look at some trials and some joint operations. You could do these, and there's a chance to get some of the higher rank matrices, but you don't always get them. They're not guaranteed, of course. And this, of course, is also based on a daily energy system, like a lot of gachas. So I have 180 energy that kind of caps out, and then you could do 2 of these things, and then you're done for the day, and it'll slowly recharge throughout the day. We've played gachas before, I'm sure you guys know this. But this does vastly limit how much power you're going to get from this. So the real way people are going to get it is obvious. If you've played any gacha, that's the special orders. You're going to go over and you're going to roll and you're going to spend some money because they have these for the matrices, and they have it for the characters, and then they also have it for the special banner character, and then they also have it for the banner character's special matrice as well. So you're going to need to spend some to get these things because, again, the open world is not going to keep providing endless supplies for you. This is a gacha game. It wants you to spend money. They're not going to be like, oh yeah, here's tons of free pulls as long as you keep playing a little bit. It's gonna shift pretty quickly. Now you also might find yourself in the open world getting a lot of these black nucleus pulls, which don't have any guarantees on them. You can still get SSRs from these. It's happened to me, but that's very subjective based luck. And the red banner character is not going to be on this banner or the gold banner. It's only on the red banner, and those seem to be the stronger characters. So there are things here that are going to be working against you if you're planning to be free to play and you have any illusion that this game is very generous and that you'll have a very easy time, getting there. Aside from all that gacha stuff, the gameplay itself is pretty fun. I mean, combat is cool because you do have changes in combos. That was just a standard combo. If I hold attack in that, I do this cool aerial thing and I can go into an aerial combo. If I jump in the air and I hold attack, I do a bigger smash down. If I just hold attack, I can do a spin. It's pretty cool. Even my bow has some cool different uses. I can do a standard combo, which is pretty decent. Or I can hold the attack at some point, do a rain of arrows. You can dash attack and attack, and that changes what you do. Same thing happens with the sword. If I do a dash attack, you see that spin. Or I could do this dash attack, which is a backdash. There's a lot of variation. The main combat is kind of focused around killing weaker enemies, and then stronger enemies have a shield usually, which is a white bar underneath their health, where weapons that are like the shield and the greatsword will break those easier because they are better at shattering. So you are encouraged to have different types of characters in group content. So you can choose what kind of character you are, whether you're DPS, tank, or healer, or balance, which I wouldn't recommend in group content. but you can choose that based on how many of each weapon type you have. If you have 2 healing weapons, you're a healer. If you have 2 defense weapons, you're a tank. If you have 2 attack weapons, you're a DPS. And these do give you extra bonuses when you go into group content. So that's kind of interesting. It works out. They increase your aggro, they increase relevant stats to doing the role you're kind of assigned for, and they're worth going into. In the open world, it's okay to go balanced because then you can solve any problem that comes your way. But when you go into group content, you don't want to do that. Now, when you're exploring the world, is it really that interesting? It's okay. It's especially fun if you like collecting things, if you like open worlds, if you're a Breath of the Wild fan, a Genshin fan, you'll probably enjoy it. You'll be able to see all these little collection points, and you'll jump over to them. So on my map, you see that little diamond. You can go over to that diamond wherever it is, and there's going to be like a little mini game there. Let me show you some examples of that. So right here, here's a dandelion, very common one. You can break this open. If you don't miss like a fool like I just did, you can break this open. You can shoot at it. You can do quite a few things to get it open. I didn't realize I was on this weapon set. So sometimes they're a little higher up, so you gotta take a little shot. You get them. There you go. Boom. It's yours. And you get something out of that. That was a black nucleus, so I can do a pull if I wanted to on a banner with no real guarantee. And you're going to get tons of those until those resources run out. From what I understand, those don't come back. There do seem to be a few in the world that are on timers. I'm not sure if those respawn after you get them. I assume they do, but they can be on ridiculously long timers, like 2 days or 3 days. I've seen some crazy things like that. You might even notice on my quest log that this little yellow quest says, new chapter starts in 76 hours. They are time gating the heck out of us in this game. So you get to a certain level, like for example, right now, level 46. You can see my experience meter is full. I am not allowed to go past level 46. Level 46 is not the cap in the game. So they are trying to time gate this to keep it relevant, which kind of concerns me a little bit, because what's the end game like? If you play MMOs, you know that that's a key question. Is the end game fun? Am I going to be enjoying myself when the new sheen on this game is run out? Let me give you a little example on combat, though. It is pretty fun. You're encouraged to switch weapons quite a bit. So I attack this guy. He puts up a white shield there. I can start breaking it. You see I'm doing tons of damage to it with this weapon. If I switch to my bow, I still do some damage to it. Not quite as much as the greatsword does. As you use your weapon skills and your weapon combos, which some of them have cooldowns, the weapon skills have cooldowns, you start building up your other weapons. So my other weapons will start to get a charge, so to speak. Once that charge is full enough, I'm going to see if I can do that before I kill these basic enemies, you get a special skill you can use. In this case, I'm going to use the greatswords right now. And when you switch, this is called the discharge skill. It does something pretty powerful, and it encourages you to swap between your 3 weapons. And as you attack with different ones, you build charge, and you can spend it like that, and it gets to a pretty nice flow. It's enjoyable. There's also a focus on dodging in this game. So if an enemy attacks you, let me just wake something up over here. You can dodge certain skills. Now, the skills you're able to dodge seem to be based on whether or not the enemy has a sort of red glow when they try to use an attack. So that guy was going to do a counter. If they're doing an attack and you see the red glow, like that, you can dodge out of the way and you can get iframes. If you time it perfectly, which sometimes can be a little finicky because of world lag and other things like that, you get a sort of time dilation in the area. I failed to do it there. I'm going to see if I can try to force it. But basically it makes a little bubble like this. Even though that wasn't red, I don't know why that worked. This little time dilation bubble, and you get a free discharge skill when you do that. There's of course a CD on that, but it's kind of fun as a way to kind of play the game, and it changes things. Here you can see that my normal hits aren't really doing much to the shield, but I switch to my shatter weapon, and I can actually start breaking that shield down. It shatters, and now I can do some big damage to him. It's fun. It's cool. World bosses are much the same as that fight you saw there, except much, on a much bigger scope. People will show up. The bosses tend to run around like all over the place, like a chicken with their head cut off, which is really annoying if you drop any like the arrow rain, which doesn't move and track it, because the boss will just keep charging all over the place. Which seems to be kind of the thing with almost every world boss I've encountered. They're very annoyingly mobile, and there's not much you can do about that, but whatever. When you go into dungeons, you'll fight certain bosses that can be a little smaller than those world bosses. They tend to have quite a bit of HP, quite a bit of shielding, so they last a good while. And you will definitely notice the difference between you and a whale in those. So overall, the game is okay. It's not a bad game. It's just, I don't think it's gonna have that longevity. It's very glitchy. You can kind of see like some pretty poor voice acting, voice clips that like clip into each other. A character might say the same thing twice in a row, whereas the subtitles are saying something else. Certain words don't match up. Certain animations are kind of all over the place. There's just a lot of things that don't quite work, and this is after this game has had time to rectify a lot of those things. So the real question with any gacha game you have to ask yourself isn't, you know, how will this be in the future? Not necessarily. It's how much money am I expected to spend to get power, because that matters to everyone. You want to be decently strong, and I think in order to be powerful at this game, you're going to need to spend quite a bit. It's not a question of how much time can you spend on the game, because that's not always going to make you more powerful. And people should be aware of that in a gacha. It's not the time you spend, it's how much money you're willing to spend that really dictates your power. And that's by design. So I think it's a little bit disingenuous for people to be saying, oh, this game is so free-to-play friendly. This game is so good about giving you tons of stuff. It's great for that right now because we're new to it, because they're trying to give us a ton of stuff. But like, let's take a look at this ladder. Look at how this works. I'm just going to hold up. I want you guys to see this. So I can get up. Oh, look, it didn't work, and now I'm going to try to climb. It literally does this with every single ladder in the game. You start to kind of get up, and you just kind of fall. It's kind of annoying. Now, you can, of course, solve this if you just get to the top and you start to double jump. Like, yeah, you can fix it. But do you really want to be doing that the whole time? Probably not. The enemy design, it's okay. I mean, these are kind of like some of the basic things you fight. There's scavenger-looking guys. They're kind of, I guess, the goblins of the game. You know, there's enemy design that just looks kind of weird. I think I can actually show you, because I can go here and I can look at the enemy gallery. You get some things that look kind of cool, but some things that also look kind of wildly out of place. Like, this dude just doesn't look like he fits in an anime setting, you know? And a lot of characters have this kind of bizarre appearance, like they're from some completely different type of game. Some of them fit, like I think these mech warriors that look like they were taken out of Horizon Zero Dawn, like I think those kind of fit. I think these monsters things kind of fit. This guy is okay. Like, some of them fit the setting. There's like this weird clown lady. But others just kind of feel very strange in design. Like this guy feels a little strange. That's, of course, very subjective, but some of the things you'll fight, I don't know, they just look a little bit odd to me. Some characters are pretty cool. Some enemies that are like this one, I'm pretty sure we're going to get her on a banner eventually. So they're kind of showing off those, like this kind of unicycle. He's an interesting fight. He jumps all over the place. He rides on his unicycle, throws bombs. He's kind of cool, I guess. It's nice, though, that they have this. Like, you can look at the different weapons. You can look at weapon skills. You can see their combos here. Some people don't know about this, so I'm just going to show it off really quickly. And you can see some weapons don't have as much to really work with. For example, if I look at this blaster, you're really not doing anything fancy with this. You have 2 options, whereas the greatsword has 9. I also think there's some laziness that needs to be addressed with some of the design. And I don't mean like the design of the characters themselves. Like, the characters you can pull on, they look decent. They've got decent art, so you can kind of look here. They've got decent art for them. They look okay. Also important to notice, if you saw this little scale right here, these actually don't mean anything because they have things like temperature, talk, and attractiveness on them. They're just more for fun. I think it's just flavor. If you don't know this, I'll just put this in here. With these characters, you can also give them gifts from rewards you can get from daily activities. If you give them enough gifts, you can actually unlock power. So, for example, this SSR has a trait which you unlock at a certain point after giving them gifts, which reduces the frost damage he takes by 20%. You get immunity to frostbitten, and you reduce the duration of being frozen by 50%. Other characters have more attack-oriented ones. So this character, Tsubasa, which is the one I'm currently using for my power-up, is every time she deals damage, she gets a stack of Fierce Strike, which basically just means you get 0.5% damage up to 15 stacks of that. So that's pretty powerful because it's a nice little extra boost of damage. Now, of course, SSRs all have these, so if you don't pull the character, you can't get that unique passive effect. So more examples of power. Now, let's take a look at a little bit of the laziness, I mean. So if I take a look at this character right now, let me switch one of my weapon specs. I'll just switch the default one I have going on here. Let's switch to a different bow. Let's switch to a weaker bow, this blue bow. Now, I want you to pay attention to the weapon string. So here's the combo. Here's the hold attack. Here's the hold attack standing. Now, let's say I take this weapon. This is a blue weapon, so very low quality, not even purple. Just, you can't even upgrade this thing really much. Let's switch back to my SSR bow. Watch the weapon string. Or weapon chain. I keep calling it weapon string. I guess you can call it either. Holding it. You might notice something here. Aside from the ice effect, it's the exact same idea. That's not that cool when you're pulling unique characters and spending money on them. I know some people might not care that much about that, but, you know, if you're a big Genshin fan, you know that those all have unique animations. Look at these dual SSR daggers. Pretty cool. They do this little thing where they send like this other attack out at the end. That little spinning blade. In the middle of the combo, you can go into an air combo and do this cool, like, very anime thing where you vanish and attack. Well, let's take a look at the blue version of this, or the, well, I have to actually find daggers. That's a sword. Let's look. Yeah, here's the blue version. Now, I'm sure you're not going to be surprised now that I've just brought this up, but look, it's the same weapon chain. So I feel like that it's forgivable. It's not like some horrible sin, but it definitely shows they're not really putting the max effort in to really making all these things super unique and super special. In terms of what you're going to be doing as you traverse the world, I can quickly show you there's training facilities which have mini games like kicking a ball into a net or flying a certain distance, like a timed race. Your standard affair. In the world, you find these dandelions, you break them, you find these things, which are kerosene, and you hit them with fire, and there's a reward inside. You throw something into these, you burn these, you put a special pillar on these with a relic weapon, you use an AoE blast, so to speak, on these to open them up, and yeah, there's a lot of things like that. Not the most interesting. So I think there are some limits to this game in terms of how fun it'll be for everyone. I think it's kind of fun to play right now, but I don't have high hopes for the longevity of it. That's just my opinion, though. Maybe things will change. Maybe there'll be some really exciting events. Maybe it'll be a great game in the end. But for right now, I think it has certain problems. Oh, and if you want a special bonus of extra power-ups, there's also relics, which you can also spend, you know, some money to get more of these. And as these level up, they become more and more relevant. I don't see a lot of people using them yet because they probably haven't all looked at, you know, the extra stats. But for example, this strange cube, which does an AoE blast, at its first rank, when you use it, all your damage dealt goes up by 10% for 10 seconds when you use it. So it's not the most powerful attack, but it has a pretty strong bonus. If we look at another one, which I really like, this grappling hook, which you can use in the open world, which is pretty cool. It gives you a shield that reduces damage taken by 20% for 7 seconds when you use it. Pretty useful. Even the jetpack, which lets you kind of navigate the world. If you glide longer than 3 seconds, your next pummel attack will stun the target for 2 seconds. So these things are going to be pretty useful. You can only equip 2 at a time, and they have pretty lengthy cooldowns when you use them back to back. So sometimes they'll let you use them twice, and then they go on a lengthy cooldown. Like this jetpack, it goes on a 95-second cooldown once they've used it like that, so I can't launch into the air anymore, but I can still just hover. This AoE blast, it's 30 seconds, but, you know, 10 of those seconds will have 10% extra damage. So these things are also important, and of course, the more you level them up, the more powerful you'll be. You scale to the enemies around you, so they'll be, you know, the same level I am, so everything around me is like usually like level 46, 45 right now that I'm level 46, even in the early zone. So that'll happen as you go through the game, but you do feel more powerful as things do die really quickly, unless they're a shielded enemy. Overall, I like the game. I'm not going to tell you not to play it. I'm not going to say it sucks, but I think it's just a very mediocre experience. I really don't like the time gating on the main quest. I don't like the time gating on your level. I feel like those are very artificial, and it makes me worried about what's going to happen when we actually get to the true end game. But I'll leave that up to you to decide. Overall, I think this isn't a game where you should spend a lot of money in it. I think it's worth playing it, collecting a bunch of stuff, seeing what SSRs you get, and then determining for yourself if it's really worth it to continue. I'll probably still keep playing for a while until I see a few events and I see where they're going, but I think that this is not a like AAA gacha game. I think if you're looking for that experience, I feel Genshin has that. I even feel things like Punishing Gray Raven are way more polished and way more fun for that. So if that's the kind of thing you're looking for, where you want to wail out, I think that's really where the most bang for your buck is going to come. We don't really know how successful this game is going to be. I don't know how much support it's going to get. I know it's not that popular in China, which is not the best thing. They call it Tower of Theft over there because it had stolen assets and quite a few other problems. So all of that together, I think it's pretty reasonable to be a little concerned on this one. Worth the play, it's still fun, but yeah, be careful. Alright, that's all. It's Mana, signing out.